Merry Christmas. One tradition I love at Christmas is the nativity sets, the crush figurines that we place around our homes. I love how a nativity set has the power to bring the Christmas story right to where we are. When you set up the figurines around the manger scene, you arrive in Bethlehem. It's like stepping through the wardrobe in a C.S. Lewis, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and instead of arriving in Narnia, you arrive in Bethlehem. And I don't know about you, but still, as a middle-aged woman, when I walk past a nativity set, I can't help but pause, and gaze at the baby Jesus. And I often find myself picking up that baby Jesus with my hands and just cradling him like I was a little girl again. I just can't help it. There's something about holding the baby Jesus that makes the story feel close to me. It feels real, feels near. Maybe you've had a similar experience. And this closeness that we feel is what Christmas is all about. The closeness is the gift of Christmas. And that gift has a name, Emmanuel, God with us. On Christmas, through the birth of Christ, who is fully human and fully divine, we receive the nearness of God right where we are, in the middle of it all. On Christmas, God commits God's own self to us. God is not far away. God is not watching from a distance, but rather God weds God's self to us by coming to be with us. As the prologue to John's gospel famously puts it, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And this is not some elusive theological idea. As G.K. Chesterton once wrote, the opposite of abstraction is the Incarnation. God is close to us. And it can feel overwhelming to think about the gift of Emmanuel, God with us. God didn't have to, but God wanted to be with you and with me. To think that the God of the universe, who created each one of us, desires to be with us as a baby who can be held, fed, rocked, and adored, is awe-inspiring. That this transcendent God thought it was a good idea to entrust our own salvation, our own future with God in the arms of first-time parents shows us God's deep desire to be right in the middle of this thing called life. And the gift of God's nearness, God's closeness, is both a promise and a proclamation that we celebrate at Christmas. The promise of Emmanuel, God with us, right where you are. Whether you're sitting in the pews, wiggling just a little bit because the service is starting to get long, or watching from home in your pajamas, hi, or joining us from your hospital room, God is with you right where you are. And the promise of Emmanuel, God with us, is one that we return to throughout our lives. We return to this promise during times of rejoicing, when things are going well, when life seems full and joyful, when blessings are easy to name. And we cling on to this promise when things get hard, confusing, or heavy, when our lives fall apart, when we are molting or grieving the loss of a loved one. Through these cradle and grave moments of our lives, we return to this promise that God has been with us and will be with us, and that the God who is born this night is a God who wants to be with us right where we are, in the middle of it all. Tonight, let us receive this promise again. Let us receive this promise that God is with you as near as the person next to you. Go ahead, take a look at them for a moment. Giggle even, but no poking during my sermon. As the 14th century English mystic Julian of Norwich described in one of her visions of divine love, Christ is as close to us as our clothing. She said, Jesus is our clothing that wraps us, holds us close, and surrounds us with tender love, that he will never leave us, being for us everything that is good. This is the promise of Christmas. And Emmanuel, God with us, is also the truth that we proclaim. Like Easter, when we proclaim the Lord's resurrection, on Christmas, we proclaim Emmanuel, God with us. We proclaim because of this night, we believe what St. Paul said, that nothing can separate us from God's love for us because of Jesus. There is nowhere we can go, nothing we can do where God's love and presence cannot find us. Whether we've been getting this thing called life really right, or we've been barely making it, it doesn't matter. The proclamation of Emmanuel remains the same. God is with you in the middle of it all. And this proclamation does not end with us. We proclaim Emmanuel for ourselves, but we also do it for others too. We do it with our presence and our service in the world. As we travel to homes, hospitals, courtrooms, schools, prisons, workplaces, gyms, as we accompany people into the depths and breadth of the human experience, we make our proclamation in those places too. Emmanuel. We proclaim that the God who was born tonight wants to be with our friends, family, neighbors, and those we struggle to love, right where they are, in the middle of it all, wanting to wrap them with God's love like a warm blanket and a hot cup of tea. Tonight, let us be like Mary, who, according to Luke's gospel, treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. Let us treasure the true treasure of Christmas. For what more could God give to us than God's own self, God's own presence of being with us? Amid the busyness of Christmas, the holy chaos, the shopping, the wrapping, the cleaning, the cooking, the parties, the baking, cookies for Santa. And look, if you didn't bake your cookies for Santa, I think he still takes like Oreos or some kind of like pre-made cookie, so you're okay, don't worry. Even carrots, you know? In the middle of it all, you chose to come here to church tonight to celebrate and to pause. So together, let us savor this pause and enjoy treasuring and pondering this gift of God being with you and with me. And just maybe, the next time you walk by a nativity set, give yourself the gift of simply gazing upon the infant Christ. Who knows? Maybe even let your inner child out and cradle the baby Jesus for yourself. Now, any kids who are out there, you may need to show the grown-up in your life how to do this if they've forgotten, so that's your homework. And as you pause, may you allow Christ's presence to hold you right where you are, in the middle of it all. Because when we do, when we begin to let the doors of our hearts open to Emmanuel, and there we discover that God, this Emmanuel, has been waiting for us all this time. There we begin to see how this God has been coming for us our entire lives. So this Christmas, may we receive the God who enfolded time and eternity into one flesh, the God who awaits you so that God can be born again in the manger of your heart. Amen.